Sophia Mirza developed ME when she was 26. 1 minute she was travelling the world, 3 months later she was bedbound, in agonising pain, unable to move.
Sophia was supremely ill in many, many ways. I mean, I'd nursed people many years ago who had cancer, who had everything. I'd never seen anybody so ill. And a young person, it's natural for them to get up and live life. You can't stop them. But this stops them. It really does.
Her family searched everywhere for a cure, but 7 years ago when Sophia first became ill, the medical profession could offer no answers, and so, like thousands of other ME patients, Sophia suffered in silence.
She lived in a room that was completely blacked out. She could only rest on her right-hand side. She could see nobody.
Was she in pain?
Oh yes, she was in agony.
Sophia's life was a living hell, but it was about to get even worse. Doctors decided she wasn't improving, so the decision was made to section her. She was sent to a hospital for the mentally ill, a decision her family believe cost her her life.
Well, it was the beginning of the end for Sophia. Basically, her death warrant was signed. I can't even tell you what it was like the day they locked her up. But she's the person in my life who she was the most courageous person that I have ever known,
They totally lost faith in the medical profession. Sophia's illness had been treated as a mental problem, a common misconception with ME, but her family knew it wasn't, and finally she was allowed home. But by this stage, she was gravely ill.
In the end, because the last 3 days were dreadful, she couldn't sleep, she couldn't move an inch at all. She couldn't have me in the room because to touch her would hurt her. So I had to know that she was dying, and I couldn't comfort her. I couldn't comfort her.
Sophia is one of 250,000 patients who've been let down by the medical system. Doctors still don't know what causes ME, and there is no treatment programme in place for the more severely affected. But finally, there is now some hope. A research programme has been underway here at St George's University in London for the past year, and they found thousands of genes which are different in ME patients, proving that this is not a psychological condition. And now they're working towards a treatment programme. The drug they're pinning their hopes on is interferon beta, which is currently used to treat MS patients.
There are certain abnormalities in the immune system function in chronic fatigue syndrome which interferon beta is known to correct. In addition, it's produced by our own body's immune system in response to various different virus infections.
So you think it will help with the virus infections as well?
It will do both. It will modulate the immune system and it will also be an antiviral compound.
So when will those clinical trials begin?
We've been promised enough drug by the respective drug company to undertake the clinical trial. All we need now is the funding to administrate the trial, and hopefully that will be forthcoming this year so that we can start it by the end of the year.
So how long do you think it's going to be before we can provide a cure?
It might take us 3 to 5 years.
Are you confident you will be able to find a cure?
I think that the chances are we will be able to develop a proper treatment and a cure.
This breakthrough comes too late for Sophia, but it does provide real hope for the 250,000 other patients currently suffering from ME. Stacey Poole for Meridian Tonight.
Well, Stacey Poole joins us in the studio now. Stacey, do we have any idea what caused Sophia to develop ME in the first place?
Well, usually it's caused by a viral infection, something like glandular fever, but Sophia's mother believes it was because her immune system was under so much stress. She'd been travelling and had had a number of jabs. Then she developed malaria, which she did overcome, but when she came back to the UK, she developed flu. She never recovered from that, and that sort of turned into ME.
Now, people used to think that it was a mental condition, perhaps. Now, they're changing their views, but is there any medical evidence for that?
Well, after her death, some fluid was taken from Sophia's spinal cord, and that showed clear evidence of a neurological problem and a viral infection. And that evidence can't be disputed, and it proves it's not a mental condition.
And of course, for many years, it's been referred to as yuppie flu, hasn't it? Are doctors now beginning to recognise that it really is a specific condition?
I think they are slowly. I think the research that we've just seen in London, which has shown that some of the genes are defective, is going some way to convincing them. But much more research is needed before everyone in the medical profession is convinced, I think.
Stacey, thanks for joining us on that tonight.